Thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of the Climate Friday newsletter. Whether this finds you on the WTOL 11 website, YouTube channel, or WTOL 11 Plus, it's official. February, it's now in the rear view mirror, and we are looking forward to the month of March. And that also means looking forward and anticipating the spring season. Now, believe it or not, we are well underway of meteorological spring, which officially starts on March 1st. And if you're watching this that first weekend of March, we're officially in the season of spring. Now, we're going to recap the winter season, at least meteorological winter, especially February, which is in recent memory, and talk about some of the weather extremes that this season brought us, and also some of the highs and lows, ups and downs, and the snowfall that we really have not gotten much of. Let's break down the science in this week's edition of Climate Friday, and we'll get into some of those graphics talking about this winter and where we stand so far. Now, February is obviously in recent memory, so I want to start off there with what we've experienced most recently. Yes, we did get a little bit of snow in February. Was it much? Absolutely not. We picked up just shy of 1 inch of snowfall, and it all happened at the last minute. We were poised to go through the entire month of February without any accumulating snow. We did record 9/10 of an inch at the last minute, but that still puts us less than 10% of where we should be. A typical February brings 10.2 inches of accumulation, and February is actually typically the second snowiest month of the year, just shy of January. This one, anything but snowy. It was the fourth least snowy on record, near the top of that list for minimal snowfall amounts during the month of February. Now, temperatures were extremely notable this month as well, and looking at our mean temperature, this February also makes the top 10 list as the 7th warmest on record in Toledo history, and those record books go all the way back to the late 1800s, so there's a lot of data to work with, and this number gives you an idea of just how unusual this February was. All right, if we look at the high temperatures alone, it actually goes down as the 4th warmest February, certainly even more impressive as one of the list-topping Februaries that brought us unseasonably mild conditions. Our average high temperature this month, that is the daytime afternoon peak, was 45 degrees. Now, doesn't that sound more like spring than winter to you? It was. This February brought us an average high temperature of 45 degrees. And again, looking at the high temperature alone, that made it the 4th warmest on record. Part of that has to do with some of the exceptionally mild days that we had. It seemed like it was almost clockwork. 1 week after another, we would get a spring feeling day. This month, that magic number happened to be 62 degrees. It's notable that our 3 warmest days were all tied at 62 degrees, and that occurred on the 9th, the 15th, and again on the 23rd. So some of those 60-plus degree days, they did skew the average toward a more mild number overall. Now, snowfall, we do make the list, but on the other end of the spectrum, while it was one of the warmest Februarys on record, it was also one of the least snowy on record as well. As I mentioned, we were on track to make it through the entire month without any sticking snow. We did get one little snowfall Friday night that did disrupt that trend, and we are still tied for number 4 with 9/10 of an inch, tied with 1931, which shares that 9/10 of an inch amount. The least snowy Februarys on Toledo recorded history, 1987, and almost a century earlier, at the end of the 19th century, each of those Februarys picked up half an inch. All right, just for fun, let's look at some of the snowiest Februarys on record. Wow, 25 inches of snow. Can you imagine that? That is way more than we've gotten this entire winter so far, and that came just during 1 month in 2015. Also a recent one, 2011. I'm sure you remember that one, 25.2 inches of snow. This is a very old one, 1900, 25.1 inches of snow, and a couple other recent Februarys did bring us some unseasonably snowy conditions. Of course, this February, anything but normal. Just 9/10 of an inch fell the entire month, and all of that came at the last minute during that final weekend of the month. What a stark difference to the last 2 years, though. February of 2021. Remember that? We got almost 2 feet of snow accumulation, and that made it the 7th snowiest on record. Last year, we also got a whopper of a snowstorm, bringing those totals to 19.1 inches of snowfall. 2 consecutive snowy Februarys. Some of you thought that we were due for one this year. However, we broke that trend this year. Interestingly enough, all 3 of those Februaries share the distinction of occurring during a La Nina winter, which goes to show that other weather patterns like shifts in the jet stream play a bigger role in the weather that we see on a day-to-day basis. Now, while we just couldn't catch a break as far as snowfall goes, we also got a lot of liquid rainfall this month, and February going down is the 5th warmest on record with nearly 5 inches of rainfall. It's not surprising that with just how mild it was this month, a lot of our precipitation was of the liquid variety. All right, what about the entire winter? Meteorological winter is in a nice 3-month chunk. It includes December, January, and February. From a record-keeping standpoint, that makes it really simple to look back on the data and look back on the records as well. December, 1.1 degrees above average. You may remember, we were on a nice warm trend, and then right before Christmas, Old Man Winter came knocking on our doors and brought us that bitter cold. January was exceptionally mild, nearly 8 degrees above average. February, very mild as well, 6.2 degrees above the normal mark. What about snowfall? We didn't get a whole lot in December. That Christmas storm brought us 1.2 inches of accumulation, but remember, it was the blowing and drifting that was the problem. Even though January was unusually mild, it did bring us a good bit of snowfall, 7.9. Of course, that's still well below average, but at least a little taste of winter. And February, next to nothing in the snowfall department with less than 1 inch of accumulation. And the biggest snowstorm, and you might even have to put storm in quotes because I know to many of you snow lovers, this is the kind that you don't even need the snowblower for. Happened at the end of January, 4.7 inches. And you may remember that one is a wet snow that brought us those heavier accumulations. Looking at the season to come, we are now officially in meteorological spring, which starts on the first day of March and is divvied up neatly into that 3-month block of March, April, and May. The meteorological summer season starts on June, and June, July, August, those months that the kids have off school, a nice 3-month chunk, which is handy for record-keeping purposes. And then autumn, we cap off the year with September, October, November, and December beginning the meteorological winter season. If you're watching this on Friday, now we are officially just 17 days away until spring. And even though it's felt like that for much of the winter so far, we have some milder days to look forward to. On the first day of spring, that is the equinox or astronomical spring, our average high is 50 degrees. Remember when we recap February though, our average high during the month of February, which mind you, still in the winter season, was 45. In other words, we were close to a spring feel almost the entire month long. Hard to believe, but we are now officially underway with March, and now that February and meteorological winter are in the rearview mirror, we'll keep you updated as the new season unfolds. One thing's for sure though, that 10-day forecast does bring back the return of some chillier temperatures, and even though snow might be hard to come by, if you're watching this on Friday, you're going to see a bit of a wintry mix to our north and west and an upcoming storm system. 10-day forecast turning colder as we welcome in the month of March. I'll have more as spring unfolds in next week's Climate Friday newsletter. You can subscribe at WTOL.com/email for the latest. See you next week.